All right, let's dive in. We're heading right to the center of India to unpack a state called Madhya Pradesh. Now, you've probably heard it called the heart of India, right? Well, today, we're going to find out what that really means.
So yeah, that phrase, Madhya Pradesh, is called the heart of India. You hear it all the time. But here's the thing. It's not just about geography. It's not just because it's in the middle of the map. It's so much deeper than that. Think of it like a place where all of India's cultural and historical arteries meet.
So that's the big question we're tackling. What really makes its heart beat? What are the rhythms, the traditions, the stories that give this place its pulse? Let's dive in and explore its chambers, one by one.
Okay, so our first stop, we're going way, way back to the deepest, oldest part of this heart, its ancient history. And I'm not just talking about a few hundred years ago. Nope, we are talking about a journey that stretches back to the very dawn of human creativity. Just look at this timeline. The scale of time we're covering here is just mind-blowing. We're kicking things off 30,000 years ago with prehistoric art. Then we move through the Copperstone Age, and then we watch as these powerful kingdoms rise and fall. It's this immense history, this incredible foundation that really sets the stage for everything else. All right, let's zoom in on that first point, Bhimbetka. We're talking about the Bhimbetka rock shelters. Now, this is so much more than just a pile of old rocks. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and honestly, it's like opening up a 30,000-year-old photo album. I mean, the paintings here, they show us everything, hunting, dancing, just early human life. It's a direct window into the world of some of India's very first people. Literally history written on stone. And then, on top of this ancient foundation, you have these great kingdoms just flourishing. You had the Avante Kingdom, which made Ujjain this major center for learning. Then came the Gupta's Golden Age, a time of just incredible artistic expansion, like what we see at the Sanchi Stupa. And of course, you can't forget the Paramara dynasty, led by the legendary scholar king Raja Bhoj. I mean, his legacy is so huge that the state capital, Bhopal, is actually named after him. So, we've talked about ancient ruins. But let's shift gears now to the living, breathing soul of the state, its people. Because what's so cool about this place is that history isn't just something in a textbook. It's alive. It's carried forward every single day, especially by its incredibly vibrant tribal communities. And this right here, this is a huge deal. Madhya Pradesh has one of the largest tribal populations in all of India. This is not just a side note to its culture, okay? This is the foundation. It's the living, breathing link to the most ancient traditions of the land. And wow, the diversity within that population is just incredible. You've got the Gond tribe, and their art is just filled with nature and mythology. Then there's the Bhil tribe, famous for their super vibrant Bagoria festival. From the Baiga's deep spiritual connection to the forest to the amazing wood carvings of the Korku, every single community adds its own unique rhythm, its own unique beat to the heart of MP. So, with all this deep cultural identity, where does it all go? Well, of course, it explodes into art. So the next chamber of the heart we're going to explore is filled with these magnificent creations. We're talking everything from towering temples carved right out of stone to melodies that have been echoing for centuries. One of the things that's just so unique about Madhya Pradesh is how you have these completely different architectural traditions living right next to each other and just flourishing. Like, on one hand, you've got the Nagara-style Hindu temples, think Khajuraho, with these unbelievably intricate carvings that show every single aspect of human life. And then on the other hand, you have the grand arches and majestic domes of Islamic architecture in places like Mandu and Bhopal. It's like two totally different philosophies, two different styles, both creating something absolutely breathtaking. And we absolutely cannot forget the Buddhist legacy here. It's profound. The Great Stupa at Sanchi, first kicked off by Emperor Ashoka, is another one of those UNESCO gems. And what's really famous are its toranas, these amazing gateways. But see, they're not just entrances. No way. They are masterpieces of storytelling. The carvings are so detailed, they basically tell you the entire life story of the Buddha. But the state's artistic soul, it doesn't just live in stone, It's also in sound. Gwalior, for instance, is famously called the City of Music. It was home to the absolute legend, Tansen, and it's where you'll find the celebrated Gwalior Gharana, which is one of the oldest and most respected schools of Hindustani classical music. All right, so we've covered sight and sound. Now let's get into taste and touch. The food and the crafts of a place can tell you so much about its history, its land, and the day-to-day lives of its people. And the food in MP, oh man, it's this delicious mix of all these different influences. You've got these really hearty, rustic dishes like dal bafla. Then there's the classic breakfast, poha jalebi, a total must-try. And then you can literally taste the Mughal legacy in Bhopal with a rich, amazing dish like Rogan Josh. Seriously, every single bite tells a story about the region it came from. And that brings us full circle, right back to the tribal heartland. Let's talk about mahua. Now, mahua is way more than just a drink. It's a cultural cornerstone. It's made from the flowers of the mahua tree, which is considered sacred, and it's totally central to rituals, to celebrations. It's all about the connection between the tribal communities and the natural world. And that same creative spirit, you find it in the hands of the local artisans. I mean, from the absolutely mesmerizing patterns of Gond art to the really precise geometric bog block prints and the rich, shimmering zari embroidery you see in Bhopal. It just goes to show art here isn't just for huge monuments. It's woven right into the fabric of everyday life. Okay, so let's start to pull all these different threads together, right? We've got the ancient history, the living traditions, the art, the food, and when you look at it all, a really clear picture starts to emerge. And here it is. This is the key takeaway. In Madhya Pradesh, history isn't something that's just locked away in a museum. No, it's a place where the beat of the past and the rhythm of the present play together, creating this one continuous, beautiful cultural symphony. You know, there's a line from our source material that just nails it. It perfectly captures what we've been talking about. It says that the tribal traditions, the Buddhist heritage, Hindu temples, Islamic architecture, classical music, and folk art all combine to make MP a living museum of Indian civilization. And that's exactly it. It's not just a state, it's a living, breathing museum where all these different cultural layers just coexist and make each other richer. So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. In a place like this, a living museum, where so many chapters of history are still being read, what new chapter is being written today, right now? What new stories are unfolding? And what will future generations say was our time's contribution to this incredible beating heart of India? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.